we are still thinking exit planning is something of the future, and that it's going to take a big lift, and it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to change the way you spend your 70 hours a week right now. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Exit Is Now podcast with me, your host, Scott Snider. We're on another Flip the Script episode. So if you're just joining us on the show, every so often we flip the script. And so the Flip the Script episodes bring in people from my life that have had impact directly on me and the EPI as an organization. And since we're just a couple of months post-summit here, I thought it would be appropriate to have the 2025 Exit Planner of the Year on our show, my friend Joe. Thank you for coming all the way from California to Cleveland to make it happen. So welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Scott. Well, you're worth it. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm honored to be here and actually get to interview and flip the script. So this is going to be exciting.
Right? So this should be exciting. And one of the reasons I think it would be have the Exit Planner of the Year come in for Flip the Script is that I want you to look into the community as kind of, so the next 12 months as we lead into the 2026 summit.
Yes.
You're our leader, right? You represent 8,000 SEPAs, and I said, wouldn't it be cool to have Joe come in, flip the script, and be able to talk to me about community, market, my business, and how and all of that cool stuff. And beyond that, I laughed with you at dinner the other day last night with you about this. For years now, ever since you became a chapter president, you are the guy that provides awesome constructive feedback and just puts little ideas. And so every so often you'll see Joe's name pop in my email, and it's just like a little sentence like, hey, why don't you start thinking about this? Seriously, though. And you have little stuff that pops up, and you probably don't even understand how meaningful it is because there are a couple of big ideas to be announced this year that if you really stem all the way back to where that came from, it came from a little line that you said at a chapter meeting or an email that was sent. So well known and welcome to the show. So
I'm glad that those emails aren't annoying. That they're actually not. Being well received.
It's feedback is good, man, and I think any feedback is good as we kind of grow our community.
Well, and that's where you and I think are aligned, and why I love EPI so much is this idea of always getting better, continually improving, evolving. So
your show, by the way, your show. So game time.
Okay,
all right.
Let's. I want to jump in here and actually, from your perspective, because we talked about the impact we're going to have in the community over the next 12 months, and what I was trying to think through, like where we're at and the impact that the SEPAs can have right now. Right, what business owners are going through. What do you feel is the most misunderstood aspect around exit planning that you really want owners to maybe better understand over the next 12 months?
So this is a great question. So I would answer it this way. Just in the SEPA program, I took a sidebar question right in the comment section from a candidate that was about 2 days into his 5-day journey in becoming a SEPA. And he said, where the hell do business owners find time for all this stuff?
Right.
You guys are talking about personal planning, financial planning. Like he said, my owners already work 70 hours a week. So how do they embrace all of this? My answer, and the answer to your question, and my answer to that gentleman was, exit strategy is business strategy. There's nothing different.
Yeah.
And so as owners, we are literally doing things in our business every single day that will eventually affect our business, personal, or financial plan. What we don't realize but we don't realize how that ties to long-term value and long-term planning. So if we can just hone it in and make it more intentional and focused, not only are we having a better business and better life today, but we're forward thinking and planning for the future. So I still think, and that's why the podcast is Exit Is Now, that we are still thinking exit planning is something of the future, and that it's going to take a big lift, and it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to change the way you spend your 70 hours a week right now.
Yeah, and let's unpack that, because I think there's a lot there that you said that I really want to focus on, which is I think the thing that I would drive home is that when we talk to owners, this idea of exit planning tends to be thought of as this event that happens at a defined point in time in the future, like you're saying, and where what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is it's a mindset shift, and it's really around elevating them in terms of how they're strategically thinking.
Exactly.
And doing it more present tense
100%.
now, and it's more of a process than an event, and it starts now.
100%. I always say, look, 25 years old, starting your first business, or 65 years old, trying to more immediately exit is right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's the hardest thing that we do as certified exit planning advisors because we have successful owners that we're working with.
Sure.
And I think a lot of our mentors, as business owners, a lot of our mentors in the past have taught us how to run really successful companies, right? So that, the 70 hours that goes into a strong P&L, a strong balance sheet, retained employees, profitable revenue, great employees and customers, and all that kind of good stuff. And we don't tie it to that long-term stuff that now in today's EPI, we call that creating a more significant company. But yeah, it's how strategically are you focusing your 70 hours a week? I don't need to add another 70 on top of operating your business. I need to change the way that you're operating your business.
Yeah, how you're, there are only so many hours in the week, right?
Yeah.
It's just getting more efficient with that. But I want to take this concept and apply it to the sort of where we're at in the environment today, right?
Yeah.
We've got tariffs, geopolitical uncertainty,
Yeah.
Global strife. So how would you say to an owner or to the advisors who are supporting the owner, the conversation around this idea of exit planning and how it can actually, I think, if done right, bring more peace of mind and certainty given all the uncertainty that's going on externally around them?
So that's such a good question, Joe. So I would say my mind goes to the involuntary exit and the personal planning side for the most part. I think that if you're embracing the value acceleration methodology and taking on exit strategy now and incorporating it, one, you're kind of planning for the unplanned.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons that EPI was able to pivot in 2020, our global pandemic, is because we were focused on exit planning. So we're just naturally more prepared than the next business to take on something wild like that because we're always planning for these uncertain times.
Okay.
And that gives me some peace of mind to say, okay, like we have to pivot, but we got these things in line, and that's going to allow us to pivot. Beyond that, I think that I go to maybe exit options. We always talk about in the EPI world that a good, well-prepared company and owner have opportunity for many exits. I can go ESOP, I can go third party, I can go private equity. And so that's peace of mind, knowing that when the time comes and I go, it's time to sell, I know that I can sell internally, externally, and have options.
Yeah, no, the optionality is huge. I mean, it's me as an owner as well. It's something that we've already baked into our plan with our partners in our industry. But I think these points that you're bringing home, which is ultimately, I mean, I'm in the business of peace of mind, right? Really what we are. And that's where this question goes. And that's why I love what exit planning does for owners is beyond just the financial as it relates to their business and their personal planning, doing this methodology that, you and your father and the team have espoused brings that peace of mind, especially in a time that's so uncertain.
So uncertain.
You brought up COVID. You brought up sort of what you guys are doing and the team's doing at EPI. It's been, since about 2012, I think, 2011, when you really sort of took over.
Yeah.
And I've seen the value acceleration methodology. You've employed it here. What do you think are the most significant challenges you've had to overcome, coupled with what do you think are the things you're the most proud of?
Wow. So I think let me answer the second half of that first. And I know right off the cut, I am super proud of the community that we built.
Yeah.
We were talking about this pre-show where we can bring guys in from New Jersey, from California, from Ohio. We bring in an unbelievable community that is collaborative and strategic and has impact. And I'm proud that we have a product and service that we offer to SEPAs and that SEPAs offer out to owners that actually makes a change. I'm really proud of that. But the first half, kind of what have I leaned into and learned was kind of like
the challenges.
The challenges since 2012. It was like really. It was for me, Joe. It was 2014 that stands out for me because that's when Dad goes, all right, we bought this thing together. Now I need you to go run it. We had another guy running it in 12 and 13 and half of 14.
Right.
And he just wasn't keeping up with the growth strategy.
Okay.
So when I came in, I would say maybe 2 or 3 things come to mind, and I'll try to rebrief. One, developing a business that grows by 40 or 50% per year with your business partner, that's your dad.
Yeah.
And so I think even if your business partner wasn't your dad, it would provide stress to your life and relationship. So
then magnify it.
Right, and magnifying it that I hang, and like me and my dad are buddies too.
Sure.
Like we go do stuff outside of just doing business outside of just the family get together.
Yeah.
And so being able to have a relationship with dad as a business partner, have a relationship with dad as from an operating standpoint as CEO to president, father to son, that has been challenging in a good way, and it's, we're me and dad have probably a better relationship today than we did in 2012. But I would like navigating and that style of growth with a father-son relationship has been a challenge, and a lot of CEPAs like you have helped us frame that.
Can I dig in on that one particular topic? Because I think it's fascinating, the father-son dynamic in terms of when you had differences in really high-level vision or strategy or process or whatever it was. Like, walk us through like how the two of you resolved that.
So a couple things. So there's framework.
Yep.
And then there's advisors. So we believe that you have to have advisors. So when me and dad are truly, and we don't do this a lot, Joe, but when we are at a place where we're butting heads and we just can't get there, we lean into advisors.
Okay.
Like we'll call a group of 5 to 6 CEPAs and say, look, we're having this issue. What do you guys think? And can we solicit some advice from you? That's one.
Okay.
2, we have a framework that we use called Every Family's Business. It's from Tom Dean's book. So it allows us, it doesn't allow us necessarily to solve issues in the moment, but allows us to get on the same state of mind. So every year we ask and answer these questions. So like, I know what's on Dad's mind all year, right? So it's like, okay, well, me and him definitely answered that differently. So I know when that issue comes up, I just can understand my father more.
You guys aren't blind to
We're not blind.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're not blind.
It may not be resolved. But
and then we have the operating side. So that's owner to owner.
Yeah.
But then we have CEO to president. And the CEO to president side says, if my dad is continuously overruling my ideas, then we have a problem.
We have a problem.
And we're allowed to start talking about that. We're allowed to start saying, like, Dad, the last 5 things I wanted to do, you nixed it as the CEO.
Yeah.
And that's not what our operating agreement's supposed to be. I'm supposed to have a little bit more freedom. To go do what I want as the operator and the person that's in charge of this P&L.
Sure.
And we stick to that. And my dad could pause, or the opposite, where Dad's like, dude, I haven't told you no in like 3 months.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you no for a reason right now, and you're just gonna have to trust me. And I just have to have that respect to say, well, you're right. Like, I still don't agree with you.
Yeah.
But,
that's okay.
But you haven't overruled me in months or maybe in a whole year, honestly. And so just having that. And so I think that in terms of like communication dynamics and decision making, those are kind of the frameworks and agreements that we have in our business.
No, I mean, it's tremendously mature and emotionally, I think, aware of you that you have these different frameworks and that you can look through the lens of this, I think, at a very sort of appropriate level.
But it also goes back to what we were kind of talking about earlier is we make sure we invest in each relationship that we have, right? So we have ownership conversations. I was on one of our other podcasts. I was saying that me and my dad take a father-son trip each year. We did last year. We do it in the fall time. So we went to Phoenix for a golf trip, and we ended it with a NASCAR race. Yeah. And we didn't talk business the entire time. Yeah. And when it started to bleed into our conversation, we had like a bourbon and a cigar, right? Yeah. We're like, we're just trying to hang out as father and son.
It seems like you're, between the two of you, you're very methodical and in a good way.
That's my dad, for sure.
Well, and I can see that. Yeah,
he helps. That's my dad.
To be, very, like you said, nurture each of those different relationships. Because I think that's probably, my guess is for many father-son relationships that are business owners, they're not doing it, and that probably is where there's problems.
It's like it's like in athletics, right? Like you have to practice, and every day you just get better and better and better. So you have to be, my advice always to family business owners is you have to be intentional in the practice part of what you do. Because when you have to make that hard decision, if you practiced for that hard decision, it'll make it easier. Yeah. Or at least more respectful. I don't think family business owners practice.
No, I think you're 100% right. Well, it's funny. We have a saying at Morton. It's like, And I think we've gotten better at it. I want to see us continue to get better, but you don't want to be practicing on your clients, right? When we're talking about, like we're having tough conversations around explaining a real estate investment or explaining a financial concept or whatever it is. And so we're actually practicing with each other, grooming our next generation, even the senior advisors getting better.
This is why you're exit planner of the year, my friend. You have to. It's one of the things. You heard it in SEPA. Even when you became a SEPA, the instructors were saying is you have to practice on yourself first. Yeah. If you practice on yourself, you can go out and start instructing business owners on what to do. Because I think a business owner would be like, well, Joe, what are you guys doing in your practice? Yeah. And you have to be able to say, well, this is what we're doing, and this is how we practice. But yeah, I totally understand. Totally get what you're saying.
Beyond the exit planners or the advisors that you have as part of your community, are there other groups like a Vistage or CEO or owner groups that you're part of where you're getting fresh perspective to help you with the business, with your strategy?
Yeah, Joe, honestly, this is one of my struggle points. And so, I have not felt like people call it your tribe. You know?
Your tribe.
I have not found my tribe of owners yet. And so there's a group in Cleveland called COSI, the Council of Smaller Enterprises. They represent 12,000 business owners in Northeast Ohio. And they're all over ranges, at revenue ranges, all family business, non-family business. And they put on like conferences and do peer groups. I used to be a part of a group called Chief Executive Boards International that was more round table style, 12 owners getting together once a quarter. Yeah. And I struggle, and it's not because the groups are bad, it's really on me, is that I struggle to balance family time with time that I just I want to go play soccer still. Yeah. Like I want to go do that. And then I need to run my business. Yeah. When am I making time for this owners group? And it's a shame because, it's something that we need to be doing. But I do lean into the guys that listen to this show are going to laugh if they hear this group that we started in COVID called the Gentlemen of Cranage. Okay. And so the Gentlemen of Cranage, seriously.
Cranage?
Cranage. So Cranage. It's the road I live on in Ohio, right? And we call it the Gentlemen of Cranage Road because we used to just get together during COVID when we couldn't go out anywhere and just smoke cigars in the backyard. Yeah. And those guys are business professionals, fathers of young kids. Yeah. And it's just kind of this little peer group where we get together, we bring one cigar, we try a different bottle of bourbon. We certainly don't drink the whole thing. Yeah. And we cook out steaks together. Yeah. And we just sit around kind of a fire pit. And that if I had a peer group today, that's kind of like my peer group. And there's two other people in that group that are also family business owners. Yeah, I actually think so that's kind of cool. Yeah. But I don't have a formal group yet. But I do. It's like something if it's on the list item that Scott needs to accomplish in 2025. Okay. I need a good coach. Yeah. And I need a good peer group for sure.
Well, this is a great segue into. I want to talk a little bit about the three legs of the stool with you personally, right? And so, I think we get the sense, at least from EPI's perspective, at least I do on the business, like that part's pretty buttoned up. Yeah. Right. You guys are doing scorecards. You've built a great team. You have a great product.
Thank you. Yeah.
But if you want to, let's dive in a little bit on sort of your personal life goals. I know you were recently married not too long ago, and you're big into NASCAR. But are there at this stage of life, are there a couple of life goals that are on your radar that over the next couple of years are really important to you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're spot on in the business. I feel like if you were to come in and analyze our business, we would score well.
I think so.
I think I would score better, maybe 4.5 on the 1 to 6 common sense scoring scale. So I don't know if I'm best in class in personal, but I feel confident. Okay. And we should talk about being a financial guy because that's where I struggle.
Okay.
But
happy to help.
My personal, from a personal standpoint, I would say life goals are, if I were to sell EPI, probably depending on when, I would probably want to take some time off because if you think about it, from 16 to 40 years old, I've been working 80 hours a week and owning and having the stress of owning a business and signing the front end of the check. Sure, I don't know what life is like without that. And I'm curious. Yeah, I am curious. I don't think I'd make it a year. Yeah, but I think I would just. Yeah. Like to decompress and go coach my kids and not have to rush from the office to the field to the other field and I just have some time. I'd like to start a foundation that my wife could probably oversee. My wife, Joy, is very charitable, community minded, very way more empathetic than me, and I think that could be a cool family like a family foundation for us.
Are there particular causes that the foundation would support, or is just the idea of
I think the idea of having it. I mean, I think loosely we have stuff like I'm on a lot of boards in Cleveland, but I think Joy probably has a couple of things.
Okay.
I think I probably have a couple of things, and then we have some family stuff that has worked and that has or been a part of the Snider family the Hours family or Joy's side of the family that might be important.
Yeah.
And then I would answer the question the way owners, like 70% of owners answered the State of Owner Readiness survey. I'd buy another business. And I'd probably buy several and act as a coach investor to business owners that need it. And so particularly even like our leadership team.
Yeah.
There are a couple of hidden entrepreneurs sitting on that executive team that probably after a transition period, whether that be 2 years or 10 years with EPI, they would go start their own company.
They would.
And I would love to look to them like my dad looked at me when he said, you want to start a landscaping company, give me the business plan. You're never going to be able to get a loan at the bank because you're 16.
No, you need private capital.
But I'll give you a loan. Yeah. And I'd like to empower some of our people to do that. So it's a little bit of business investing. I'd like to do a foundation and then take a little time off. Yeah. And so, but I do have, I don't have it here, but if you looked at my front page of my notebook, you would see a sketch each year of what personal planning looks like for me.
Are there anything, because this was all predicated on some sort of transaction, which may or may not happen in the next couple of years.
Right.
Is there anything, irrespective of that it's on your radar that you want to maybe accomplish personally while you're still running the business?
Absolutely. So during COVID, I used to do a personal retreat, not formal in any sense, but I'd go to a cabin down in Southern Ohio by myself for 3 days, and I'm a pretty extroverted guy.
Yeah, you are.
So just getting away from being like in it, all the time was cool. I'd really like, so I'm a big bucket list guy. There are two things, one that's funny, that's true, and one that's serious that I think would actually help like mental health and just leadership skills.
Yeah.
I'd like to do a silent retreat.
I'm doing one.
You're doing a silent when?
So I'm doing one on June 13th. Dude. I bought it for my wife's birthday, and she jokes.
Not talk
she
to
goes,
each other for 2 days?
"You're taking me on vacation. We're not talking to each other for 3 days." No, we've been wanting to do
California,
this.
or where you
guys
going?
It's in Santa Barbara. It's an hour and a half.
How many days?
We get there on a Friday. We leave Sunday afternoon. So it's
like 2 nights?
Yeah, it's 2 nights.
But you can't talk.
No, yeah.
So when you arrive, they set you up and then it's done. You will have to tell me how this goes, man. So it's always been on my radar.
24 hours like tough, like really tough.
Because you go, from what I've researched too, you go to like dinner in a group setting.
Yeah.
You just sit there and eat amongst people and just not talk.
And no cell phone either. I mean, you have no technology.
Like I do. You have to tell me.
I will
it's
tell
either
you
going to be a total mental breakdown for me, or a cleanse. And that would be something while I'm absolutely running the business, and I think would be good. So it's like it's that combination of you're sensing, and you probably sense this as an owner yourself, like you need a little bit of a break. Yeah. You just need to reset, and if you do, you'll actually be better for you, your wife, your kids, and the people that are
100%.
with you. So I'm sensing that. The funny one, I want to ride a bull in a rodeo. I have to.
Wow.
I have to.
Okay.
Me and Josh Koza, our director of strategic relationships, way back when, before we all had kids, had signed up to do it. So you go to rodeo school. You go to school for this. So in Ohio, we could go to rodeo school.
All right.
And you go 2 days and you learn how to ride this thing. And then they put on a rodeo on Sunday and you ride a bull.
Wow.
And we had signed up for this camp, if you will. Okay. Like cowboy camp.
Yeah.
And then he found out that his wife was pregnant with his first kid. So he bailed on me. Oh. And he's like, we're proud. I was like, the kid's not going to be here for like a year.
Yeah, no, you got 9 months. Come on.
And he's like, no, I just don't think I want to get my face smashed in or like really messed up. Yeah. And I'm like, well, it's coming for you. Like his kids are now like 8 years older. And it's time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways.
You're going to forge his signature on the documents.
Like when you ask me that question, those are the most immediate.
Okay.
And then
I like it.
I need a little bit more balance or blend in my life. I just rolled off 2 nonprofit boards. I'm looking to get back involved with something. I'd like to do that. So those are the things that personally, as you just ripped that question to me, they're right around my mind.
One last question on the personal side. You've talked about how involved you are, so many things you're doing. What do you do for Scott time, like to decompress on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting. So I just started this year, and it is as much a a decompression as a workout. So I don't know
Yeah.
if you can consider a workout decompressing,
I
but
do.
it is. You do? I
Well,
mean,
jiu-jitsu for me.
Okay, so that's for you.
Intense.
So yeah, that's
but
intense,
I love
but
it.
it's your way to get away.
Yeah.
And so I still play pretty competitive soccer, right? Like a higher end men's league team where at 40 years old, I'm the oldest guy and I'm a goalie in arena style soccer, right? So there's 6 people on the field. So it's more like hockey than it is soccer. So like I have a dislocated pinky right now, so all of that.
Yeah.
So, and I needed a mental escape from husband, father, business owner.
Totally.
And I wanted to try to stay as competitive as I possibly could be on the field at 40.
Yeah.
So I hired a private goalkeeper coach from Lithuania.
That's awesome.
Dude. And so at the beginning of this year, so just a few months ago, and I do 2 weeks on, 1 week off for recovery.
Okay.
And I go in for an hour and a half training session. It reminds me of what I was doing in my 20s. I have 3 coaches. They have like ball machines where they're like how like a pitching machine, a soccer ball machine. Yeah. They're firing balls at you. I'm taking 4 saves at a time. I'm running through ladders. I'm doing tennis ball training for reaction time.
That's impressive.
I'm down 12 pounds from
you
January 1st. I don't know if I look good, but I'm down 12 pounds. Yeah. I don't look like you. Yes, he laughs, right? He laughs. But I think it gets me going on the competitive side.
Yeah.
Because I'm way better now than I was when I first entered their camp.
Yeah.
They made me try out for the team. So like we do private lessons and group lessons, and they have a business owner, right? This guy from Lithuania has a camp that solely concentrates on developing goalkeepers.
That's great.
And he's got like something crazy, like a 92% placement rate into colleges. And so these kids come at 10 and they just train with him all the way through their college career.
How'd you convince him to take you on?
I called him like owner to owner, man.
Yeah.
His name's Anton. I was like, Anton, look, I know this is going to be super weird. You advertise private lessons on your website.
Yeah.
And I'm probably not your typical private lesson, but I'm willing to pay more. And I'm willing to do what you need me to do. Not much more. Like not much more, but I don't even actually think he charged me more.
Yeah.
But he goes, he asked me about like how do I play? Do I currently play? He probably just doesn't want somebody that doesn't do anything coming into his show, right? And so he said, come in and try out. If you would try any private lesson, and any kid that's coming to the camp, whether they're 18 or 8, has to try out for the academy. So if you can pass our tryout, you're in. They put me through the ringer, like a 2-hour tryout. I threw up twice, and
but you kept going.
Super embarrassing, right? Super embarrassing. And they came out of the locker room. They're like, dude, welcome to the academy. Yeah. And so, 2 weeks on, 1 week off. And that has been kind of my escape. But the funny part of it is, Joe, is I have to it's really good discipline for me because I prepare for Wednesday now. So I have a better regular workout routine. I start on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Thursday's a recovery day, because that's when my training is. Okay. But I actually have to leave this this hour and a half event has turned into like a 3.5 hour event. Okay. Because I have to drive there 45 minutes, and I have to get ready for the training. But then I need like some refocus time. Like I started going right from the office, change in the bathroom, and go right to the camp. I can't do that because my mental. So I actually go home and have lunch and take a 20-minute nap and just chill for a little bit. Yeah. Then I get into workout mode. Yeah. And it reminds me of like the games I used to play when I was a kid. Long answer, but nonetheless. I love that. People get a kick out of it because my friends are like, and the people that you know at EPI are like, why are you doing this? Yeah. I'm throwing up. I got a dislocated finger. I got a tennis ball to the neck. They're like, my kids are like, Dad, are you okay? I'm like, I'm not. Honestly, this is tough.
This is right. I did SEAL Fit with Navy SEALs.
See, there you go.
When I was 39, it took me 6 months to train for it. Yeah. And everyone's like, why are you doing this to yourself? I'm like, because I want to see if I can do it. Right? Yeah. And it was the same thing.
Yeah, and so where I need to get it is I need to blend in the diet. Yeah. And I got to lower the drinking. Do you drink?
No, I gave it up 11 years ago. That's and then I actually hired, I did not, I mean, my body fat is down and my weight's down to like, I'm 180. I haven't been 180 since I was a wrestler in high school.
Yeah, see? That's
but I started seeing a doctor about a year ago. He cut out my sugar. Yep. Jacked up my protein intake. Yep. And I started lifting again. Yep. And it just, I'll be 49 in a month.
Wow, man.
But I was like, all right, I'm closing in. I'm like, I got to start like dialing this back in if I want to, I just want to,
Well, I mean, I think as a leader, right? As exit planner of the year, as a leader inside of your own firm, it's as much about your leadership skills that we learn as it is about your mental health and physical
100%.
health. Like you're called on to do stuff, and if you're not physically there or mentally there,
you can't perform at your best.
You just can't. And and that's one of the reasons I went back to that camp. I said, dude, we're in some high growth phases. My team needs me. Yeah. So I need to be at peak performance.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But I need to get the weightlifting in. The alcohol intake down and the diet that fits who I am.
This one last point, like when he started measuring my blood, and like keeping me accountable, all of a sudden it became this game of like, okay, it was a lot easier. Like I have a big sweet tooth. Getting off of the crap, the sugar, like all of that, I was like, okay, I've got to, in a week, he's doing another blood test.
And he's going to know.
And he's going to know. Yeah. And I'm like, I want my cholesterol numbers, my glucose numbers, all those to start going down. And then after about 6 months, it's just, it had become like who I was.
See, and to round that out, I guess, because we probably go to a rabbit hole on this kind of stuff.
But move on to my next question.
But no, I agree, because my trainer at the goalkeeper camp, right, the goalkeeper academy, would know if I put in the effort before I got there. Yeah. They're like, dude, you didn't work out at all this week, did you? Your body's not conditioned to get into this routine. So they knew, and it's become, as a competitor, you care. You're like, dude, I don't want to take that blood test. No. I'm going to have to lie to this guy. No, I didn't take any sugar. And he's like, well, this
your
is
numbers
off,
show.
So.
Yeah.
And he kind of the same thing. He'll put me through the routine, and we'll be 25 minutes into an hour and a half session, and he'll be like, dude, did you do your workouts that I told you to do? Did you clear your mind before you came? Because like you're wasting my time and you're wasting yours.
Your time,
And because you're just not here. You're not present, and you're not physically able to get through this routine. He gets kind of, these like Eastern European guys, man. They're intense. Dude, they're intense. Yeah. So anyways, before you dive into the first thing, we just got to take a quick break. No problem. All right? So we'll be right back. Just give us a quick few seconds. Thanks.
Cornerstone Business Services are M&A advisors, bringing a highly successful, high-touch level of service of investment banking to the lower middle market. At Cornerstone, we don't just make deals. We craft personalized solutions with an expert team that has decades of experience in buy-side, sell-side valuation services. We understand the deeply emotional process of selling a founder or family-owned business, with first-time sellers who are likely embarking on what will become the largest financial transaction of their life. We're more than just investment bankers. Cornerstone is a trusted partner in helping business owners begin their next chapter. You only get one chance to sell your business. Cornerstone can help you finish strong.
Are you a business owner seeking to unlock the true potential of your enterprise? Look no further than the second edition of Christopher Snider's revolutionary book, Walking to Destiny: 11 Actions an Owner Must Take to Rapidly Grow Value and Unlock Wealth. In this updated edition, Snider presents proven strategies for maximizing your company's value and accelerating growth. Whether you're aiming to sell or simply want to ensure long-term success, this book offers a blueprint for building a thriving, self-sustaining business. Walking to Destiny isn't just another book, it's a game changer, backed by Snider's own experience as a successful business owner and as a SEPA. This book bridges the gap between business owners and advisors, guiding you towards financial freedom. But don't just take our word for it. Hear from those whose lives have been transformed by its insights. One satisfied reader raves, "The best guide for transitioning out of privately owned companies. I recommend it to all business owners and advisors." Another praises it on its focus for maximizing business value, calling it their, quote, principal tool for educating owners. Ready to take control of your business's destiny? Visit walkingtodestiny.com now and use code EXITISNOW to claim your free copy of Walking to Destiny: 11 Actions an Owner Must Take to Rapidly Grow Value and Unlock Wealth. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make the moment perfect by seizing this opportunity today.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Exit Is Now podcast, hanging out with Joe, our exit planner of the year, and a really good conversation. Thank you for this, honestly. It's been really cool. So we're on a Flip the Script episode, so before I hand it back to Joe, just kind of reset for us. Joe's actually taking me through the 3 legs of the stool, which has been a really interesting reflection for me. And we're on that last leg. We're on the personal financial leg. So this will be a good one for Joe if you know who he is. So let's chat. Go ahead.
Scott, we've covered the personal, we've covered the business. On the financial side, talk to us a little bit about that aspect, where you've had some success, maybe where you're struggling.
So on the personal financial side, Joe, I think if you like dug deep with me, you'd find that I'm probably your traditional owner. Like the best place for my money to reinvest is right back in the business, right?
Sure.
And as you know, the SEPA training, right? And for the owners listening, as we grow our company, it becomes actually a larger part of our portfolio if we're not taking money out and equally, or not maybe equally, but also investing in other things.
Yeah.
So what might have been 70% of my portfolio 5 years ago is like 85% of my portfolio now, because in total transparency, I have not done a really great job of diversifying my portfolio. My funny story, you've probably heard this told me tell this again. When like our financial advisor or our financial advisor team, they're like, Scott, we need you to inject some money in this investment account. And it was still sitting at zero. And they're like, yo, dude, you're supposed to do this like in the new year. We just closed your taxes. Like it's time we're doing this in Q1 project. And then it never came. So him being a SEPA, he was like, yo, dude, like, what is your problem? Like, and he was able to like, kind of, firmly talk to me. And I said, look, it's not coming. And he goes, why? What happened? And I goes, I bought a 1966 Ford Mustang. And he's like, dude, that's not what. So there's when I lean into the financial side, and not that it's an excuse, but it's very millennial of me, right? Because I'm on that cusp of older millennial, younger Gen Xer. Millennials earn to spend.
They do.
And so a financial advisor is like I'm like probably your worst nightmare, but also a big opportunity to show me a way to invest. And for me, when I got married a couple of years ago, new perspective. And so now I have 3 children, 10 or 11, 10, and 8. And you just got different things on your mind. So that earner to spend is like, well, maybe we should be doing something different. Or on a couple of podcasts, and at the summit you heard me talk about this, is I think leans into the financial planning side, is how can you help me teach my kids how to be stewards of wealth? And so it's been a really interesting 12 months for me as new things have come into my life.
Yeah.
And the urge of financial planning is more real than ever before.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I appreciate your candor and your transparency, and it's one of the things at Morton we're always talking about, balancing current me versus future me. Right. Yeah. Like spending for today's experiences and needs and wants versus balancing for the future. And I think for us and for you, it's a lot of it just comes down to helping. For me, a lot of it's really around clarity. Because so many owners, I think we get so busy running our businesses, money's coming in and out. Yeah. Like, how do we help bring clarity so that they're making conscious decisions? I don't believe it's my job to tell you what that decision is. It's really more, I think, to help you have clarity around what your decision options are and how they impact you not only today, but in the future. Totally. At the end of the day, then it's like, you're a grown man, you're a grown family. You guys are going to do what you want, right? So I've learned over the years, you can't tell somebody like what to do. It's just, you're there to help guide them. And again, make sure they see the full picture. So they can make the best decisions for themselves and their family.
Well, I think that's one of the best in class elements, right? I mean, it goes back to like the ideal SEPA has a relationship with an owner where they can lay out options and say, look, this is what I think you should do, but this is another option that I think is valid. Yeah. And here's a variety of stuff. And again, help them bring that clarity, I think is critical. But I think a lot of advisors are used to telling the owner the right answer, right? Where you're saying, I'm here to provide you clarity. So here's all the clarity. You're a grown man. You can choose where you want to go. Sure. And we'll adapt and move where you're going along the way. I think that's.
And I will give my opinion as well.
Well, of course.
Absolutely. Like, hey, look, here's what I see. Like, if there's a lot of flexibility, then it's like, okay, my opinion may not matter. If it's like, okay, you're going to back yourself into a corner if we don't start addressing these. It's also like, I think Jocko Willink talks about nothing's easy. It's either do we make a hard choice today or do we make it a harder choice in the future? The hard is up to you.
Totally agree, man. Totally agree. But I like the sense that you're providing owners clarity, and I think that's what you want. I do think sometimes a traditional advisor falls into, like, we know what to do, here's what to do, Scott. And I, particularly for the owners of the future, like our 40 years olds, or 50 years old, or 30 years old, they don't want that type of transaction. No. Sure. They want clarity.
They want peer relationships. Exactly. They don't want to be told what to 100%
do.
Right.
So, spot on.
Well, maybe we can pivot to a little bit more about the value for the SEPAs. So the goal of EPI, right, is to get to 20,000 SEPAs, I think in the next couple of years. Yeah. So talk to us about what the strategy is going to look like to execute on that goal.
Yeah, so it's 22,000 certified exit planning advisors by 2028. So by
Okay.
the end of 2028.
All right.
And we picked that goal just for audience for clarity is that we want to be competitive with the CFP, which I think from a designation and credential side of things is the largest one we have in America. There's like 250,000 CFPs. And so I also think it's matching market growth where I think more and more owners over the next 3 to 4 years are going to be looking for the certified exit planning advisor. So if we get into 20 to 25,000 CEPAs, I think we have a good footprint in the United States. And so how do we get there? I think there are 3 things that really make this impactful. One, we have to focus on significant community growth, SEPA community growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just the financial X's and O's, right? It's not just bringing in new SEPAs and retaining great SEPAs. It's helping you guys develop as a certified exit planning advisor. You can't be significant with your average, right? We have to have a significant, impactful community with people that can walk the talk, they can teach, they can collaborate, they can connect. So a lot of investment in there. 2, we have to have a world-class summit. We have to have a one-time massive gathering of people that believe in this profession and want to thrust it forward and that become like ambassadors of the profession themselves, whether they're SEPAs or not. And then 3rd is really maybe more internal focus, but I believe we need to have a strong strategic relationship model where you can come to us as a SEPA and say, I'm looking for this tool or this solution. Do you have a partner that can help me do that?
Yeah.
And so I think surrounding us with great partners that thrust our relationship forward with an owner or thrust your business forward as an advisor, I think is critical. We have to be on the cutting edge of innovation. I think we do that through strong partnerships. And I think we do those 3 things well, particularly over the next 24 months. We're well on our way, and that's kind of the foundation.
Well, and that last point, I want to dig into a little more there, which is this idea of a platform and elevating the advisors. So I think you're taking EPI to the point where if owners are directly looking for advisors, pairing them with advisors and other resources, talk to us a little bit more. Let's unpack that part of it.
Yeah, so this year, I think a lot of the audience has seen like the drivevalue.com campaign. So for the first time in 20 years, EPI is going to take our education to business owners. And the idea is that we're telling the story of the certified exit planning advisor. We're exposing the business owner to the value acceleration methodology. And to your point, we're marrying high-end advisors with greatly educated owners.
Yeah.
And I think you have to do that through an online community. I don't know if you're leading me into this or
A
not,
little
but
bit. Yeah. This has been one of my emails.
I think this has been one of your emails for years and something that you'll see if you do get to spend any more time, whether it's here in Cleveland or on the phone with some of our team, it is in our product development department right now.
Nice.
And so your little email.
All right.
Now, we can laugh around the dinner table another time because, dude, I was like, that's a great idea. Let's run and do that. The visionary entrepreneur in me.
Yeah.
And then they're like, whoa.
How do we do
you're built. I mean, I would say that right now we're building the LinkedIn of the certified exit planning advisor and business owner community.
Yeah.
So that one of the other things like that you can do on here that I think is simple, like you're looking for the next great SEPA to help you do the strategist work and recruit them into your firm, you could do a job posting on there.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a fellow SEPA that will come work at my firm, or I'm looking for a great estate planning attorney in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Or a business owner is coming on there and he's looking for opinions.
Yeah.
Like
I'm really excited to see this. This is going to be great.
Right. I need a wealth manager that understands these things. And for better or worse, you can have a 4-star, 5-star rating. So it's going to separate the SEPAs a little bit. And it's going to force some of the SEPAs to really invest.
Level up.
And so we're building that. But I think you take that and marry, again, world-class advisors with world-class owners and bring them together to create something significant. It's going to be fun.
I'm really excited
but
to see
the
it.
undertaking has been...
It's a big lift.
You asked me this from a chapter standpoint.
Oh,
I want to communicate better amongst my chapter.
Of course.
You asked me that 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it took a year for me to understand the idea.
Yeah.
And then test it. Like, hey, is Joe right? Do we need something? I'm going to owe you like a royalty or something. And he's right? And then the second year is, okay, how do we develop it? What are all the needs? And I'm not like a tech guy at all, Joe. Like sitting with this tech team that's building this app thing and then it's going to be an app on your phone.
Oh, wow.
So it's not going to go just like to, exitplanningcommunity.com. You could just be like, I'm sitting in the Uber ride to the airport,
Yeah.
and I need this type of advisor or this piece of content, and I can just pull it up on my phone.
All right, I'll give a real quick
Yeah.
story. An estate attorney in my chapter reached out because he's handling a probate case
Okay.
where the single biggest asset's the business. The
Yeah, of course.
father passed away. Actually,
Yeah.
there's no the first generation's gone.
Yep.
The beneficiary now owns the company in this trust. There's an external CEO that they don't really trust.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I need recommendations for somebody that we can put in there to actually do a sort of a CFO for hire audit.
Right.
So we can start to get some clarity. But anyways, it was like that kind of question where luckily I knew who to connect him with,
Yes,
but
but if
that
you
app
didn't,
would have been appropriate for that
Would've
situation.
been, see?
Yeah.
So, and that's
Okay.
where it goes. I think that's, you marry the owners together with the advisors in a sense of an online community and the commonality of the common denominator is everybody believes in value creation.
Yeah.
We're
Love
all
it.
striving towards building a more significant company.
Yeah.
And you come into that community and you can get everything that you need right there.
All right. It's a great vision.
We'll be on another show 2 years from now and hopefully living inside of that community.
All right.
All right, cool.
One last thing on this point in terms of where EPI is going, and at the summit, I think you had mentioned about the idea of education and partnerships and universities, and talk to us a little bit more about like what that might look like.
Yeah, I think that, again, with the sense of, and maybe an internal theme at EPI is, how do we get to the business owners now? Not how do we just educate great advisors, but how do we get to the owners? I'd like to see this value acceleration methodology stuff taught inside of colleges and universities.
I'd love it.
Right? Because I just think you'd start early. Like an owner, so I teach in part at my high schools. They have an entrepreneurship program.
Yeah.
And when I came in there, this was years ago when they first started this thing, they had like a template from a course that they could buy as an institution. And they said, this is how we're going to do it. And I was like, I can't be a part of this program if the exit plan line of your business plan says write 2 to 3 sentences on how you're going to exit.
Yeah.
Because right then and there, you're teaching an 18-year-old kid with a landscaping company.
Yeah.
That exit is somewhere down the line.
Agreed.
So you don't need to think about it now. You think about it when you're ready, but you should just generally jot down your thoughts for 10 years. And I'm like, I can't be a part of this. So they've changed it since. But my point being is, imagine if you're sitting there teaching that 18-year-old kid, okay, well, exit is now. Exit strategy is business strategy, and it embraces way more than your business. And it's not just in a business plan. It's in your business, personal, and financial plan. Imagine if we're teaching that to 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds in college.
Mindset shift's
The
huge.
total mindset shift. That's how they just go and run companies.
Yeah.
And so that's like when you talked about, I've mentioned like seeing this taught there. I think that's critical. And we see a lot of like ETA stuff, right? Entrepreneurs through acquisition.
Yep.
So let's teach those MBA students that are looking to acquire companies.
Yeah.
Let's teach them how to run a company with the end in mind as well.
End in mind. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, as we wind it down,
Yeah, sure.
I guess one last question, sort of high level, 10 years from now, 15 years
Great
from
question.
now, where is EPI?
Yeah, so very reflective question, right? Because we're in our 20th anniversary here at EPI,
Yes.
right? So the big question that we have is like where we're going in 20 years. And I think it embraces some of the stuff that we've talked on the show. I think that the goal, the unmeasurable goal, the highest thing, right? The highest level thing is we truly have taught at least our country, like American business owners, a new way of running your business in life.
Yeah.
So that being an entrepreneur is balanced or is blended, right? You could be a dad, you could be a golfer, you could be a soccer player, you could be a mother, right? And a business owner. You don't have to sacrifice these huge things. They all kind of blend and balance throughout the year. And that you have a company that's ready and transferable and create this long-lasting legacy. Now, what does that look like? It looks like we need to get to 100,000 CEPAs.
Yeah.
It looks like we need to get colleges and universities. It looks like we need more systems inside of how we teach the exit planning process. And it means that we also need to start educating the end user, which is the business owner.
Yeah.
So there's not just a sea of professional advisors sitting out here saying,
floating out there in space.
there's a whole community that is together of end user and our user, the CEPA. So I think that's where we're headed, man. And I'd like to think with CEPAs in the community like you and a team behind them at the Exit Planning Institute, I think we're well on our way to ride out. I just hope we're around in 20 years so we can say like, dude, I was an early pioneer.
Yeah.
I was like the 7th exit planner of the year, and now there's another 20. There's 27, right? So I think that's where we got to head, and that's what we got to do.
I'm excited to be on the journey with you.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Again, flying all the way in from California, really appreciate it. That's all the time that we have for today, folks. We are back live July 9th. So please leave a comment to our show here with Joe and subscribe, listen, and leave a review on all of your podcast platforms. Joe, appreciate it, brother. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks, Scott.